every guy listening here wants to fix the problem today, right? Well, you can read another 12 books, one a month, and you can do all of that, and it's not going to bring you any closer. It's probably going to confuse you even more because you're going to have so many different voices in your head now that are not necessarily aligned with who you are and what you need in that moment. Whereas, obviously, with what we do, we've worked this out, and it's worked for us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I'm joined again with an amazing guest, Mr. Arthur Magoulianiti, one of our master coaches, and we partner with him on one of the programs in TPM as well. So, Magoo, let's roll. Let's turn back the clock. Let's roll back the years.
Let's do it.
Is it 7 years?
Must be close to 8 by now. Yeah, 8 years, yeah.
Yeah. So, describe to me where you were prior to coming into the then activation method, which was the Alpha Reset, and we're calling it now the Ascension Blueprint as we re-release it and open the doors again. But describe it. Really curious, because we have a lot of guys who have been in the movement for several years listening to this show, and I'm really curious whether they've heard this. They really heard where you were at.
Okay, so just before I came in, and depends on how far you want to go back, but I think...
I know.
Yeah, well, where do you want to go?
I'll let you go.
Just before I came into TPM, we had recently moved, Penny and I, from the UK. We had moved to Cyprus, and I was kind of kicking off my third career. So for those of you that don't know, I was an electrical engineer. I started engineering way back when, did about 5-7 years of that, then decided I want to go into my own thing and make some money, got into property, did pretty well with that, and then just well, there was a couple of things that happened. One was I got married. Two was 2008 in the capital crunch. So that put a bit of a kibosh on the investing, although we had the portfolio, so that was cool. But it gave me a lot of time to figure out, okay, now what? And space. What do I do now with my life? And of course, I'd done personal development. I'd been in the personal development field since I was 26. And I loved going around the world learning from a lot of great teachers out there. And I felt that I'd accumulated a bit of knowledge. I knew a thing or two. And I thought, okay, maybe it's time to give back. And I was also looking for something closer to home because I'd done a lot of work with people in the States and there was a lot of traveling back and forth. And I just thought, okay, it's costing a bit too much. I'm away from home too much. Actually, that's funny because that's come full circle again with all the TPM travel. But it got me thinking, okay, I need to find a network of guys closer to home. And as it happens, whose mug came up at the same time at that thought was you. And I think you had just finished actually the first Alpha Reset.
Yes.
And I think I saw your video. I've probably been following you for a little while, and probably that was the catalyst. I thought, okay, seems like they're doing some good stuff. And the fact that it was something local, UK was a lot closer to Cyprus than the States. That's when I reached out. Where I was, though, was, to answer your question, was I was pretty lost at that moment, right, at that time. Because I thought I had achieved everything I wanted to, income was okay, assets was okay, family was okay, but I just didn't feel connected to it. I just felt like I was going through the motions. And then I got into my head about like, okay, what am I going to do? I wanted to get into coaching and give back, but I just didn't know who I wanted to coach. And I had, because as we were talking before, I was in my head and I wasn't aligned with what it was I really wanted to do and who I wanted to help. And that's when I reached out. So there were a couple of reasons why I reached out to you. And I remember having that conversation with you. It was in Prague. It was, I think, New Year's. And yeah, and that's when I came aboard, right?
Yeah, I remember the conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess the key point was I thought I knew what I wanted to do. I wasn't clear on who I wanted to help. I also was looking for community because I didn't have that in Cyprus, right? And a lot of my close friends were all over the world from my travels. Like, obviously I started in South Africa, and I had great friends in South Africa, a little bit far. Great friends in Greece, a little bit far. Great friends in the States, a little bit far. So just having that brotherhood, that community of guys around was lacking, and so that's what I was looking for as well. So with 3-4 reasons that it just seemed to be the right move at that time.
Let's touch on, there's some great points there. Let's touch on the feeling lost piece. What was that like?
It was awful because I was going around and round in my head, right? Trying to find a solution. And this is what we say to the guys now. And looking back, it's like, obvious. A lot of the times when we're trying to find the answers in our head, they're not there, right? That's because, and we're looking in the wrong place for those answers. If you had the answers in your head, you'd find them because you've done enough digging in your head. But all we tend to do is create like a rut, like a car going around a circuit, just getting deeper and deeper into that rut, trying to search for the answer. Oh, it's got to be here. I'm going to think of the answer. I'm going to think of the answer. I'm going to think of the answer. But every time you try to think of the answer and not come up with it, then you get like bogged down even more. And that's where I was. I was trying to think my way through it instead of feel my way through it. And so joined the activation method because that was the entry point, obviously, with TPM.
Speak to that more, though, because the reason why I want to drill down on this a bit more, because there'll be guys listening right now,
right,
who resonate with what you were saying. Either they resonate because that's where they are right now,
right,
or they resonate because that's where they were. Either way, it's good for us to drill down a little bit more on that feeling lost, it being awful, and painting a picture of what that was like. Because, look, we know we've got something that can help those guys, right? It's kind of called the Ascension Blueprint. We know it can help them. However, unless they know that they're in the right place because of us helping a certain type of guy, they may not come through the alpha reset.
Right.
We need them to come through it. Transparently, we need you to come through it. And the reason why is because we have a mission of saving the kids by saving the fathers first, right? We know the transformation that is available to a man should he choose to do the work. In order for him to choose to do that, he's got to believe that he's in the right place. And oftentimes, I think we could do a better job of letting the guys really know that, hey, we were there. This isn't an idea that we put together over a weekend 2 months ago. This is something we've been doing for 8 or 9 years. We've done it with men from all over the world. And there's a predictable, consistent, reliable result for the guy that chooses to do the work. And again, this is the first time we're actually opening the doors to the public for this particular program in 7 years. So I really want to speak to the guy that's out there that's feeling that way, that's feeling lost, that is making good money. He has everything on paper that really tells him he should be happy, but he isn't. He feels disconnected from the entire thing. He's ashamed of admitting that because he feels guilty because he should be enjoying it. He's got everything he ever thought everything he ever asked for.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't enjoy it. And the guilt from that and the shame from that and the isolation that then occurs with that, because very few people can relate to that guy.
Yeah.
Right? and it's incredibly tough. It's incredibly lonely.
It's incredibly tough and lonely for the guy, and it's also really frustrating for the partner, right? Because I remember spinning the same story to Penelope, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what I want to do. I can do anything, but I don't know what it is. And just that whole, and even as I say it now, it just makes me sick, because I remember how many times I asked that same question, right, over and over, and it overflowed into the relationship. Because now you've got this issue, right? You got this disconnection within yourself, and that's what it was, a disconnection within myself. Like logically, everything looks good. Logically, I can do make my way through the day and do what I need to do, but I wasn't feeling it, right? And I didn't have that purposeful, authentic connection to what I really wanted to do and what would excite me, and give me purpose and meaning. And I think that is missing for a lot of guys. That is exactly what was missing with me. And then with Penelope, she got tired of hearing me moan and ask me the question. She got tired of me, just being in that state, which was obviously a low energetic state. It's like living in the gray. It's just like nothing excites you because you've got yourself in a corner now. And you really need somebody to help you get out of the corner. It's like a helping hand to just pull you out of the box that you've sort of got yourself caught up in. And we call it the tunnel, right? It's a tunnel. And the only thing that can get you through that tunnel is personal development or personal growth through personal development. And that's been obviously the answer for me, as it is for all the guys that come through our programs and who work on themselves.
Yeah, I want to highlight something, because as a guy listening to that, I got to imagine that if he hears, okay, I just need personal development and personal growth, what I don't want him to do is for him to listen to this, move on to the next podcast and the next podcast, thinking that all he's doing is getting personal development growth, when he isn't. Because he doesn't need motivation. He doesn't have a motivation. I can't imagine you had a motivation problem back then, right?
Or a knowledge problem.
Yeah, exactly. Typically, it's not more motivation or more knowledge. It's not more. It's actually less. And it's about getting an insight, being able to look at your problem very differently by having a proven system and a guide, someone to guide you through it. Because otherwise, more motivation is just going to get you more of what you've got. It's like kind of spinning your wheels in the snow. You just dig it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah. So we were on a Alpha Reset this week. We spoke about that previously. And one of the guys there can tell you any book, right? For any problem, right? Oh, read this book, read that book, read that book, right? So he had all the knowledge. And yet he was disconnected. He had lost his passion, his purpose, and so it's not a question of more into the head, right? I'm going to go say it again. It's more into the body, into the heart, into getting aligned again through the process that obviously we have honed by now with the thousands of guys that we've worked with, to make it effective in a short period of time. And that's what you want. Every guy listening here wants to fix the problem today, right? You can read another 12 books, one a month, and you can do all of that, and it's not going to bring you any closer. It's probably going to confuse you even more, because you're going to have so many different voices in your head now that are not necessarily aligned with who you are and what you need in that moment. Whereas, obviously, with what we do, we've worked this out. And it's worked for us.
I want to buy you a gift. Look, if your marriage is struggling, and let's be real, every marriage struggles at some point, but yours is struggling where you've lost that love, admiration, respect, I want to help you. I want to buy you a copy of the book that I wrote, A Man's Guide on How to Save Your Marriage Without Talking About It. In here, I've distilled over 8 years of programs that we've developed at TPM to help men just like you save their marriages without talking about it. There's no fluff, no BS. It's an action plan that you can start using today to actually save your marriage and bring that love and respect back into your family, back into your house. You deserve it. Look, all I ask is you pay the postage, you pay the shipping, I'll buy the book for you. That way you can take massive action today. Click the link or find it in the bio and get your copy now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's talk about your reset. So we know where you were before. What do you think was your biggest takeaway or shift that occurred for you at the reset?
Man, there were a lot. And the irony was I thought I'd done quite a bit of work.
I remember you arriving at the reset. You did not want to be there.
I thought
You're
like,
like, what the hell is this?
what
This
can they
is
teach me?
stupid.
I've done
what
so
can they
much.
teach?
Um,
Your demeanor was so resistant on that day zero. It's so funny looking back.
yeah. And I remember that. I mean, even the activation method was just like, what am I doing here? I'm not sure I belong here, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, takeaways. It was, I think the big one was realizing how much I had put myself down. How much I had suppressed my emotion, number one. How much I had judged myself. I'm just trying to think of the processes. I think pretty much every process on day 2 just, had a major effect on me, impact.
I remember.
And as the day went on, it was just shedding stuff that I've been carrying that I didn't even realize I had been carrying, that had kept me like contained, right, and restricted and limited. And so just realizing, well, I'm carrying that, and then having the ability to just go, boom. And then, yeah, I mean, I felt energy through my body twice in my life, right? That was the second time. Just like energy coursing through my body. And that was wild. That was wild.
Describe to the guys what you mean by energy, because I think they might be listening thinking you mean like energy, like when you feel like you've got energy to move around, and
No.
This is different, right?
I felt like electricity in my hands.
Yeah.
Right. Like a superhero type thing. If I had to like point my fingers, I'd probably zap someone. But that was, for me, it was like by releasing everything that I released, I think my body was just saying, hell, now we can work here. Now we can move things around. Now everything's firing on all cylinders, right? So yeah, but I had to get rid of a lot of stuff that I'd been carrying. And as I say, part of it I didn't even know that I was carrying. And so I guess that I realized how powerful I really am without all that crap blocking me.
I love the quote from Michelangelo, who was asked, hey, how did you create the statue of David? I think you've heard me say this before, and his response was, I just chipped away everything that wasn't him.
Yeah.
I love that. It's such a great metaphor, right? Because I know I did. It sounds like you did as well, and a lot of the guys that come through the reset. We take on so much baggage throughout life, so unnecessarily.
We don't even realize. And we don't need to. Yeah.
Right? We take on so much from other people, whether it's in childhood, whether it's in adulthood, whatever it may be. And a lot of the guys that we work with have such honorable men, that they have such a desire to want to provide and protect and
do the right thing.
Yeah, do the right thing and serve the people they love, that unknowingly they end up taking on their problems, and unknowingly they often become a people pleaser as well, which puts them in this terrible bind of self-sacrifice, which is totally unsustainable, which often leads to them feeling incredibly burnt out, numbed out, they don't have a clue how to deal with it, and then they feel disconnected, like you were saying, and that's when like the guilt sets in and the shame sets in, and that they are not armed with the tools to communicate what's going on. Also, they don't feel comfortable to communicate what's going on. Because I think guys know as well, there's something primal inside of them that holds them back from wanting to say to their partner, wife, whatever, I'm scared, I'm terrified, I'm lost, I'm this. So obviously I know with you, with Penny, you just kind of, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But underneath it, there was a real fear there, right?
Yeah.
There was a real emotion. We don't know what to do with that. We don't have a clue what it is. It just feels so alien. And for guys like you and I and the guys we work with, we're so used to being able to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And when we can't figure this out, it can become so frustrating.
And all-consuming.
All-consuming, and then it can start to really rock our confidence and create self-doubt. And again, it just fuels this cycle of guilt and shame.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also interesting, and once again, this happened on this Alpha Reset, was one of the guys said, well, my past wasn't so bad, you know.
All the time.
And, you know, I shouldn't have to complain. I shouldn't have any issues. I don't, no. And I think there's a lot of guys in that, like, oh, I should be better because I had a good life, quote unquote. Everyone got hurt, all right? Even if you had a good life, right, you got hurt. You came up, you created stories, you've taken on burdens, and maybe because you've had a good life, you've maybe taken on more than you should, right? Because you think you want to give back more. I don't know, but every guy is carrying some level of burden, and so don't compare yourself to any other guy. You might know a friend who's gone through a lot more and thinking like, why should I have an issue? Well, trust me, you got stuff to work on like everyone else has, and you are also impacted by everything we're talking about here.
Now, I'm not a big fan of the whole. How do I say this? There's a big hot button around trauma.
Yeah.
Right. The trauma's a bit of a buzzword.
Right.
In past couple of years, and I know when I didn't understand what it meant by trauma, I'd push it away. I'm like, I never experienced trauma, quote unquote. But by definition, all that trauma is when we go through an experience as a kid or even as an adult, right? And the arousal curve within the nervous system, kicks off, goes up. And we don't know how to cope with it because the feelings are too intense, that we then shut down. And we don't give our body the ability for the arousal loop to complete its curve. Yeah. So instead of it getting aroused and it coming back down like it normally would, and it would come back down through the processing. So whatever that processing may look like, crying, acting, whatever, I don't know, as a kid, right? There's tons of ways it could complete. It's almost like we can get stuck in time. Not physically, because physically we age and we grow up and we become men and all this stuff, but emotionally, neurologically, our emotional and nervous systems can literally get stuck in time.
Yeah.
And it's getting a little bit technical right now, but one of the ways a reset works so well is it gives the men the opportunity. They don't know this, obviously, when they're going through this, but it gives the opportunity for that arousal curve to complete its cycle.
Yeah.
And when they do, that's when they change color and they're relaxed and the energy shifts and everything just returns to center. And the look on their face when they sat on that sofa on day 2, after only halfway through the day.
Yeah.
Like, I just love it.
Well, just on that point, if we look at animals, right, when they get stressed, they've got a built-in way of de-stressing themselves, and usually it's shaking, right? If you see an antelope that's been chased by a lion or something and gets away, it'll shake itself when it's safe, when it feels safe, to release that stress. Us humans, we don't have that, right? And so we need, if we haven't dealt with whatever level of trauma, right, whatever we've stored in the body, we need a way to get it out. And if you haven't done that for like most of your years, you can have a lot of energy stored up that needs to be released. That's holding you back.
So
But yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, so for you then, after the reset, so you've said where you were before, you've touched on some of the realizations you had during. What was different after?
I just felt I was connected with myself again. I just felt like I was in the right place in my life. I had more clarity about what it was I wanted to do. I just felt freer and more myself, right? Whereas before I just felt like I'm not myself. I don't know why, but I'm not myself. An amazing thing doing this work, that's just got more and more and more and more, because we obviously being in the conversation every day with guys and all of that, we continue our own work. We just get to a stage where we're just getting deeper and deeper and deeper into who we really are, and realizing that, hell, we can be pretty powerful.
Limitless.
And limitless, yeah, that's it. And so yeah, for me, it was just really connecting with that strength, that power, that confidence, and just that purpose as well, as to, okay, now I'm clear on what it is, what I want to do and how I want to do it.
I love that. So what advice would you give to somebody who, we call in the program the Ascension Blueprint, includes the Alpha Reset. What advice would you give to somebody who's considering joining? They're in a similar spot to where you were. They're on the fence. What advice would you give?
Well, it's easy to say you owe it to yourself to do it, but there is very little out there that can do what we do in the way that we do it, that's going to give you the result that you're looking for in the shortest possible time, right? While doing it right. And
without doing psychedelics.
Yeah. And so why go chasing anything else, trying to figure it out, when right here in front of you there is something that we have proven to work. It's worked on myself, worked on hundreds, if not thousands of guys already, and you don't have to suffer anymore, right? I mean, that was for me. I was suffering, right? And I know there are millions of guys out there, and literally millions of guys who are suffering, and it doesn't have to be that way. There's I don't want to say an easy and quick fix, because it sounds like it's, but there is a fix out there, and it's authentic, it's real, it works, and it's going to work for you. Yeah, it's going to work for you. So,
providing you do the work.
Well, of course, yes. You got to do your own press ups. We'll show you how. We'll support you, and we'll kick your backside if you need it, and most guys do. But it all comes from love, and knowing that there's much more in you, and you know it yourself. We don't have to tell you, but we can see it, whereas you might have lost sight of it.
I love that. So, guys, as Dougie Fresh likes to say, at the moment of insight, take massive action. You've heard it from an incredible man. He's been in the movement now for 8 years or so. He's coached hundreds of men through the same process. You've heard about the impact it's had on his life. So if you are curious and you want to find out more about the Ascension Blueprint, then just type the word ascend and send it across to VIP. That's very important person at thepowerfulman.com. That's ascend to VIP at thepowerfulman.com. We'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.